Oh yeah, it's a beautiful day. Plus, it's a lot lighter out here. I don't have to beg Christina to turn the music down or anything. So oh my god, I can't even see the thing. All right, welcome to another edition of the Fifth Down Show right here on the KJC Radio Network, broadcasting live via Blog Talk Radio, simulcast on the Snowman Digital Media Radio, also live on YouTube on the Fifth Down Sports Channel. We are live. We're on Facebook. We are on Spotify. We are on all of the radio streaming apps. You can come get our show. And by the way, like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Get us up, get us going. We can do a lot more things. But we are here. We are live at Z's Cafe for our Sunday Summer of Greatness. Of course, it is Father's Day, so let's open the show with Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Of course, to my father, happy Father's Day, and to all the fathers and everybody who's celebrating with their fathers, happy Father's Day to everybody. We are celebrating Father's Day with a Summer of Greatness tournament, and we are doing greatest father-child duos. You'll see why I have that distinction in there. Of course, if you want to be part of the show, by all means, call the show, 646-668-8415. You can be part of the show. You can also, if you are on Facebook, the StreamYard link is in there. You can join us. You can be a part of our judging process. Pizzle, I see you in the chat. If you're in the chat, you can also be a part of our judging process. So that's what we got going on. So today, we have greatest father-son duos. So we are going to be talking about father-son across sports, music, movies, all of it. All of it is in play. Where else are you going to see a possible Barry and Bobby Bonds versus Bob and Jacob Dylan? Where are you going to see that matchup? Nowhere but here are you going to get that kind of analysis and breakdown. So we will get to all of that when we get to our tournament. But let's open the show. Of course, I said Pizzle is here. And happy Father's Day, Pizzle. If you are celebrating Father's Day, if you are a father, awesome. I am not celebrating Father's Day at this point, as far as I know of. But I did celebrate with my father yesterday. We did celebrate Father's Day with a little Father's Day breakfast. So we did all of that. As I said, anybody who wants, come on in. We'll leave it up here. It's on the screen right now. The StreamYard link is in. If you put that in, sign up, get in. We'll get you on. We'll get everything going. With that in mind, we also have our toll-free phone number, which is 646-668-8415. If you wish to join, and we have a caller on the line, and I believe this is Lou, so let's bring Lou in. Lou, what's happening, my man? Oh, last week was a debacle. I messed up the. I messed up the beginning, and we had to kind of do it, improvise on the fly. So, but we did get last week was greatest movie themes. And by the way, let's just recap our stuff already. So we have we have we have three entries into our final, as we always do, our champions tournament at the end of the summer. Of course, we have our reigning champion Tupac, won the original Champions of Champions. He has not been challenged since, so you cannot lose you have to have the title taken from you. So Tupac is already in. Of course, we had our first tournament of the summer was greatest sports event, which was college football game. College football won that one. I know if you've listened to the show, I know you're shocked by that outcome. And if you've listened to this show at all, you know greatest movie theme song, you shouldn't be shocked either. It was Ghostbusters taking the title last week. And of course, we're on our third tournament, but our fourth entry into the championship round will be today, where we're talking greatest father-child duos, and Lou, you'll help us decide which father-child duo is the greatest, because we're talking about everything. And I want to open this with talk of Lou. Lou, we talk sports mostly on this show. I think in sports, it's basically, baseball pretty much dominates the father-son dynamic. When you look at the history of the greatest players, baseball seems to get passed down a lot more than these other sports. What do you think? What do you think about that, Lou?
Yeah, it seems very common, especially back in my day. They had a lot of father-son combinations that did that. I guess what they call nation's pastime, since you're handed down father-son like you haven't done with all the other sports. So it does make logical sense that that's how it's going to be with baseball being the most father-son.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to Bobby and Barry Bonds. In my day, you had the Griffeys playing together in the outfield. You have the Ripken siblings with their dad Cal. Baseball, and now you have it even more with the as I call them. The Toronto Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays are basically a father-son. You have Vlad Guerrero Jr., you have Dante Bichette's kid, you have Craig Biggio's kid. So baseball, it seems to be baseball just going that route, and I don't know what it is that makes it that. Football. We're seeing a little bit more of that in football. I think it's because football is so new. We're seeing that more. Maybe when we do maybe when we do the father-son tournament, 3 or 4 years down the road, maybe we'll have talk of Joey Porter and Joey Porter Jr., who was just drafted this year by the Pittsburgh Steelers. What's up, man? So so maybe we'll get that. Obviously we've got Dion and his son at Colorado. Dion's son is the quarterback. He's also got a son that plays in the secondary that are going to be there. So maybe we'll get those. Maybe in a couple years we'll get those, but we haven't had many as far as NFL lineage to really put together. And that, I think that's something that's coming, but it's not there yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. I think baseball dominates the father son dynamic, which is why we opened it up. Which is why instead of doing sports, we opened it up to everything, and that's where I'm gonna open up. That's where I'm gonna open up the nomination process, and Lou, we'll do this the same way. I have my list, but if you have anybody that comes to your mind, by all means throw them out there. And if you're in the chat, I see some of y'all in the chat. If you're in the chat, throw out the names. We'll put them on the list. But I've got a pretty good list. And so we'll start with the nomination process. And as I said, if I say anybody that you have a problem with, by all means stop me, and we'll discuss and maybe replace. We'll replace and reform our list as we go along. But I'm gonna open the show with. I'll open the first team I got to put in there. The first father-son duo is Bobby and Barry Bonds. Bobby, if Bobby didn't play next to arguably the greatest baseball player of all time in Willie Mays, Bobby Bonds would be a much bigger star than he was. But he was overshadowed by Willie Mays. But he was great in his era. And then you talk about the greatest slugger. When you talk about hitters, the reason we don't do greatest slugger of all time is because it's Barry Bonds, and it's not even close. It's not even close. Barry Bonds is the greatest hitter of all time. So I gotta start with the Bonds. I gotta start with Bobby and Barry Bonds as my top pick to get in. Now, this one goes back to. The second one on this list, Lou, you probably know this family really well, being a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
Being a Knicks fan and being you're in New Jersey, but I always think of you as a New Yorker because you like all the New York teams. But being a Knicks fan that you are, look, basketball. This is the one. There are two families in basketball, and one family may be eclipsing this, but there's one family in basketball, and that's the Berries. The Brent Berry and I'm blanking on the father's name, but yes, Rick Barry. The guy ran for Senate in New York. He was a beloved New York Knick. And his two sons played, and Brent Barry, don't get me wrong, Brent Barry was a great player. He just had a catastrophic, one of the worst injuries I've ever seen in my entire life. And that just crippled his career. But when Brent Barry was going strong, Brent Barry was absolutely a dynamic player. Won the dunk contest one year. And held it up. But the Berries are basketball royalty. When you talk about families in basketball, the Berries are at the top of the list. What do you think about that, Lou?
I think you'd be right. I forgot about Brent Berry's injury, but his father was also one of the greatest. I think his father was one of the greatest 50 players of all time. Now 55, and passing on to his son. So,
oh, he's definitely on that. He's definitely on that list of greatest Knicks of all time. I mean, he's not Walt Clyde Frazier, but he's damn near he's up there in the echelon. I mean, Clyde will eclipse anybody. That you get as far as in the Knicks pantheon, and then of course Patrick Ewing and all of that. But when you're talking about old school Knicks, Rick Barry is so beloved in the state of New York. He had to be on the list. So the Berries are on the list. The next one I'm going with is another. I don't even know if he's a native New Yorker. I just think of him as one because of his role on Seinfeld. But I gotta go, Frank. There's a reason why Frank Costanza is the thumbnail for this pick for this podcast. One of the greatest Frank Costanza, one of the greatest fathers of all time, as far as characters. But in real life, Jerry Stiller and Ben Stiller, you got father-son duos. You're not getting better actors. Ben Stiller, I mean, people can say what they want about Tropic Thunder. Tropic Thunder is one of the greatest movies of all time. It is so funny. It is so the cameos in it are so well played out. It's so good. Ben Stiller, there's something about Mary. Ben Stiller's just Ben Stiller's catalog is amazing to go through. Zoolander, you throw all of Ben Stiller out there, but then you throw Jerry on top of it. Jerry Stiller has been a great actor for at least 50 years now, and he's still going strong. So, Jerry, I got to put Jerry Stiller on that list.
Yeah, Jerry was passed away. So.
Oh yeah, passed away. But I mean his what I mean is any actor that passed away, their catalog lives on forever. I mean, we were talking about this. We were talking about this just yesterday. My parents still watch Seinfeld every single night. They watch an episode of Seinfeld every single night, and Jerry Stiller was so good in that role as Frank Costanza. Him and George, they just worked together, and it was so good. So he'll go on forever. So all right. So we talked about. We had a baseball, we had a basketball, we had an entertainment family. Now we'll go to the music genre, and look, you can say what you want about me. Look, I'm a rock and roll, rap, country. There is I'm a country music fan. There is no greater duo in country music than Hank Williams. Hank Williams and Hank Williams Jr. Hank Williams is basically an icon of country music, and then you throw Hank Williams Jr. in there. Their catalog just together is unmatched by almost anybody when you put the duo together. So we're going country music. We're going with the Hank Williams duo.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the Diamond, because, and I'll tell a little bit of story here. First off, I'm hoping this comes up as one of the categories. As you know, if you followed the Summer of Greatness, any category could come up for anybody. But one of the great, I will say this right now, we're talking greatest. All right, greatest baseball card of all time. Greatest baseball card of all time is the Billy Ripken Fleer 1992. Anybody who knows anything about baseball cards knows exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking Fleer 1992 Billy Ripken with the bat that says F face on it, that nobody noticed until the card came out. I actually have the original. I have the original in a case. It's in my parents' vault. One of the greatest baseball cards of all time. That just says, and it was written on by Billy Ripken's brother Cal, who is one of the greatest baseball players of all time, Cal Ripken. Cal Ripken Sr., one of the best managers of all time. So you have them in there. You have you have Cal. You have Cal Ripken Jr. You have Billy. Just the Ripken family is iconic to baseball. So you got to put them in the list. And also, not to mention, Cal Ripken Jr. is actually the reason I wrote my college essay about Cal Ripken. So Cal Ripken is the reason I went to Springfield College. It is the reason I got into Springfield College. He was my college. I wrote my college essay on Cal Ripken. So when we're talking father son, I gotta put Cal in the list. All right. So we talked baseball. We're going back to the hardwood, and look, you can talk about this. You can put this in any context you want. The greatest shooting family of all time is the Currys. Steph Curry and Del Curry are the greatest. Del Curry was considered the greatest shooter of his generation. Steph Curry is probably the greatest shooter of all time. So both of them, and then you have the other one, and anybody who wants to include the other Curry in there, I don't even know his first name. I just call him Duke Curry because he went to Duke, but I don't even know his name. I don't even care. But you're talking when I'm talking about the Currys, I'm talking Del and Steph, and you're talking about the greatest shooters in NBA history. So they're on the list. All right. This next entry, this is going to be a stretch. This is going to be a stretch because we've talked about guys who do the same thing, like Barry and Bobby. They played the same sport. Cal, they played the same sport. Del and Steph, they played the same sport. Now we're going to cross genres here. And the way I cross the genres is, if everybody remembers back to Ohio State in, I want to say 2004, 2005, they had a linebacker by the name of John Laurinaitis. Now, he ended up being a first-round pick, ended up being he was a great player in his own right. His father was Hawk from the Legion of Doom in the WWE. Of course, we know, what a rush. The Legion of Doom, the Legion of Doom, the greatest tag team of all time. I said it. Drew Willingham, if you're out there with your KFAB Express, and you want to challenge me on greatest tag team of all time, bring me the challenge. Legion of Doom, greatest tag team of all time. There's no question about it in my mind. And Hawk, no, it wasn't Hawk. It was Animal. Animal was John Laurinaitis' father. So the Laurinaitis are on my list as far as being part of the greatest tag team of all time and he was a star in college and ended up being a significant part of the Rams for the years after the the greatest show on turf was gone. It was the Rams. It was that period where the Rams were good but not great, and before they got Sean McVay and became Super Bowl champions. So he was a big part of that. So I'm going to put both of them. I'm going to put the Laurinaitis on the list. All right. Okay. For this next one, I have to preface this with, look, this is Fifth Down. We are Fifth Down Sports. We are listed as Fifth Down Sports Show. We are as toxically masculine as you can get, okay? But we're going to offset that here because you cannot deny the greatness of these two people, and it is a father-daughter situation. And again, we're going to go to the country music. you're talking achy breaky hearts. You got to go Billy Ray Cyrus and Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus dominates the conversation. You bring up Miley Cyrus on anything, she dominates the conversation, dominates the tabloid news. She's all over the place. Okay, and anybody, I know we don't get a lot of viewers that are under the age of 21, but anybody who's in that 25 and under range, Miley Cyrus was a huge part of your life, okay? And anybody who's older than us, Billy Ray was a huge icon in country music, went on to be he's a great actor. So I got to put the Cyruses on there to get because we talked father-son, but now we got a father-daughter situation. So we are covering our bases here. We're checking our boxes. We don't want to be as toxically masculine as we always are. So we've got a father-daughter situation going on. What do you think, Lou?
I think you're right with that, but I was thinking of another father-daughter. Because one had a one not as long, but still reasonable.
Hang on to that because I think I'm gonna hit who you're. I think I'm gonna hit the father-daughter conversation that you're talking about. So I think we're gonna hit it. So hold on to that. Hold that in your back pocket, and we'll see if we get there. All right, so we got the Cyruses. We're eight in. We're on our ninth selection, and I already mentioned this group as the only father and son to ever play together, as far as I know of. As far as Ken Griffey Jr. in center field and Ken Griffey in right field, the only group to actually play together. And you talk about, we talk about greatest here. You talk about the sweetest swing of all time. It's Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. has the greatest. He has the. I'm trying to think of how to put the most cinematic swing. You see him swing the bat. It is a thing of beauty. It is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen to watch Ken Griffey Jr. swing the bat. Now I know. His career, he went to Cincinnati and everything just blew up. But that being said, his time in Seattle was so epic. This guy is one of the greatest players of all time. And there's no question about it. And Ken Griffey Sr. was no slouch in his day as well. What's up, Judge? So I got to put the Griffeys in. It's a great office today. Hopefully, a cloud is rolling in, so hopefully it doesn't rain.
It's not.
It's not. Yeah, you say that, Rich. You say it's not going to rain, Rich. I know how it works. I know how West Haven weather works.
Wait a minute.
It'll rain right here and nowhere else. That's how West Haven weather works. All right. So we just did the Griffeys. All right. Here we go. Back to the father-daughter situation, because I asked this question to my boy Drew, and again, throwing shout out to Drew, does the wrestling podcast Kayfabe Express. And by the way, Drew, glad to have you back as the Sports Senseis on Snowman and the Snowman Multimedia. Check that out. Drew is getting back to it. Glad to see Drew back doing his thing with Sertoba Media and his new venture and his sports debate. And this is going out there. I know Drew watches the show. I know Drew pays attention to us. So Drew, you need a debater for your sports debates. You know where to call. You know where to call, Drew. And with 91 coming up this week, when 92 comes up, Drew, I'm telling you right now, you better be ready. You better be ready. I got a surprise for you on episode 92. So be ready. But going to the actual ring in wrestling, there are no greater champions in wrestling than this father-daughter duo. You have the 14-time world champion. No, let me rephrase that. 16-time world champion Ric Flair. Woo! You have the 9-time female champion in Charlotte Flair. That's right. We're going Space Mountain himself. We're putting the Flairs in as our father-child duo. You're not gonna get any more accomplished duo than those two.
Right.
Lou, you said you had a father-daughter duo. What were you thinking?
I was thinking Roseanne and Johnny Cash.
Oh, that's a really good one that I did not have on my list. The Cashes. Ugh, that's close. We'll see if we can fit them in. We'll see if we can fit them in. We'll see if we can fit them in the tournament because I think Johnny could carry his weight. I don't know about the daughter. The daughter might not live up to the level. But that being said, let's go to the next one. So we talked about players. We talked about Bonds, Ripken, Griffey, the Currys, the Berries. We're talking about players, okay? In lineage of coaching, if you follow this, I talk about coaching all the time because coaching is where I go to my coaching is where I go to my list. And at the NFL level, there is no better coaching lineage than Bum Phillips and Wade Phillips. Look, Wade Phillips is a Super Bowl champion. Wade Phillips is a Super Bowl champion as a coordinator. Say what you want about him as a head coach, but as a defensive coordinator, he's easy top five defensive coordinators of all time. And Bum Phillips is probably the greatest coach in the history of Texas football. And you talk about the lineage of coaches that have coached professionally in Texas. Bum Phillips is on that list. Obviously, Tom Landry is going to be the top, but Bum Phillips is on that list. So I got to put the Phillips coaching family on that list and enter them into this tournament. All right. So let's go back to the music genre. And look, anytime you bring up music, anytime you bring up any musical topic, there is one guy that can be mentioned in every single music, any music topic you think of. You talk about greatest of all time. It doesn't matter whether it's writer, whether it's performer, whether it's genre. It crosses every genre. There is one guy that does it, and that is Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is it when it comes to songwriting. The guy has written rock songs, country songs, rap songs. He has written for every kind of genre, and he knows everything you know about music. So I got to put Bob Dylan on the list. And his son Jacob, as much as he didn't live up to his father's name, that's a high bar to get to. But the Wallflowers, Jacob Dylan, that music still comes on the radio, and everybody knows the Wallflowers when it comes on. So, they just played it at the bar here like 5 minutes before I came on. So the Wallflowers are still a thing. So I got to put Bob and Jacob Dylan on the list. What do you think about that, Lou?
Well, yeah, Dylan was like their generation, Jake was my generation, and they made great music.
Speaking of speaking of fathers and speaking of Bob Dylan, for Christmas last year, I gave my dad one of the best gifts of all time, which was a book. It's a book written by Bob Dylan, and it's Bob Dylan, and basically Bob Dylan explaining all these different songs that that not just that he had a hand in writing, but iconic songs of the most iconic songs of all time. Bob Dylan talking about how the lyrics were written, how they were matched up with the melodies that they were at. It's one of the most fantastic books I've ever read. I was reading it in the store and I was like, this is perfect. My dad loves music. My dad's a big music guy, so I got it for him. It's one of the most just to read Bob Dylan describing some of the most iconic songs. It was one of the most fantastic reads I've ever had. So for anybody out there, if you have a music lover in your life, that is something that they need, because even if you got somebody who's writing music today, it's something. Bob Dylan talking about how songs are created, how they're written, and how they come about. It was fantastic. It's a fantastic read. So y'all should check that out. All right, moving on. So we've got music. Let's go back to the entertainment world. And look, one of my favorite, definitely top 5 TV shows of all time. One of my all-time favorite characters is Jack Bauer, 24. Kiefer Sutherland. I mean, you got just Kiefer alone. You're talking Lost Boys. You're talking 24. All that. Then you throw Donald Sutherland's. His catalog on top of that, it is just they're one of the most iconic things to movies that you can get. And yeah, Kiefer never really hit it big in the movie genre, but like I said, 24, one of the greatest shows that I've ever. One of the greatest shows. I still love watching old 24 episodes. So and when it was on, it was can't miss. 24 was right before the streaming age, and it was, if you missed an episode of 24, you were lost for the rest of the season. So you had to watch it every single week because you had no idea what the hell was going on. That was back when TV was TV, and that show to me is one of the iconic television programs of all time. So I got Kiefer and Donald on the list. All right. You know what? What's up? Oh, of course, Young Gun. Yeah, Young Gun's definitely on the list. What up, Romy? I knew you'd say something like that. All right. I mentioned this before, but we're gonna go back to the diamond on this, and we're gonna go with a current player that is just making his own right now. But when you talk about hitters of all time, the greatest bad ball hitter of all time. I mean, this guy could take the ball off his shoe tops and hit it out of the ballpark. There wasn't a pitch that Vlad Guerrero did not swing at. He swung at it. Didn't matter where the ball was, he was swinging at it. And the thing is, he could hit it. It didn't matter. It could be over his head, and he would still hit it out of the ballpark. That's how good Vlad Guerrero was. Like, people forget how good Vlad Guerrero was because in that, people forget about that 94 season, that 94 Expos team. That 94 Expos team that was absolutely disgusting with Vlad Guerrero, Larry Walker, Bartolo Colon, Pedro Martinez.
Yeah.
They were on pace to eclipse the wins record when the strike happened. That's how good that Expos team was. And I just mentioned it. You had five Hall of Famers on that team, on that one team. And if not for the strike, that team easily would have been in the World Series. Now, would they have won it? That remains to be seen, because you had so many teams there. You had the Mariners, you had the Yankees at that time. You had so many teams. Would they have won the World Series? That I don't know, but I would bet money that they would have been the favorite going in. And that Expos team was so good because Vlad Guerrero was so good. And when he went to the Angels, I mean, he did what everybody does when they go to the Angels, took a huge contract to go to the Angels and basically be in obscurity for the rest of his career. But he was still putting up numbers. He was still putting up numbers in Anaheim. And you look at Vlad Jr., what Vlad Jr. is doing now. I'm telling you right now, Vlad Jr. should be in every single home run derby, because when he swings, it is up there. Vlad Guerrero is probably second on the list as Vlad Guerrero Jr. Senior is probably third on the list, but I'm talking second as far as most violent swings I have ever seen anybody take. Obviously, Barry Bonds is at the top. Charlotte Flair. Yes. I said Charlotte Flair was a world. I said Charlotte Flair was a world champion. Oh, you gotta love being live, Lou. You gotta love being live. Getting heckled for making these things up off the top of my head, but sure. Anyway, but Vlad Guerrero is on the list. All right, here's where I make a change. Here's where I make a change, and Lou, I'm a Mets fan. You're a New York guy. I know you're a Yankee fan, but I know you follow the Mets, and I know you know well the '69 Mets.
Yeah.
And there was a pitcher on that '69 team that gets lost in the shuffle, because you had Seaver, you had Kuzman, you had Nolan Ryan, you had a great pitching staff. But there was also another guy on that list named Tug McGraw.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Tug went on to be more famous for what he did in Philadelphia. And, you know, as everybody knows here, Philadelphia sucks. So I hate everything Philadelphia, from the Eagles to the Flyers to the 76ers to the Phillies. Anything Philadelphia, every single team. Look, I'm not one city all over the board. However, every single team that I like is a rival to Philadelphia. I don't know how that happened, but it did. Boston Celtics, their main rival, the 76ers, the Mets, obviously with the Phillies, the Rangers with the Flyers, and the Cowboys with the Eagles. So every single team that I'm a fan of, I hate Philadelphia. But what Tug McGraw did in Philadelphia was he basically rebuilt his career relieving for Steve Carlton. So, but that being said, Tug is not even the star of this conversation, because the star of this conversation is his son, Tim McGraw, who I could argue I could argue it, and maybe we'll do this. And when I was originally thinking this, maybe we'll have this as one of our topics later on. Greatest country music star of all time. Tim McGraw is on that list. He's in that debate. He's in that debate of greatest country music stars of all time. And not to mention the guy married Faith Hill. So the guy has one life. Okay? He's one life. And so I gotta put the McGraws in on that list. All right. Final entry into our list. Final entry. This is number 16 in our list, and I'm going back to the wrestling ring on this one.
Okay.
I'm going back to the wrestling ring, and anybody who would know this, you would know to know your role and shut your mouth, because The Rock, Rocky Maivia, Rocky Johnson, Rocky Maivia, everything The Rock touches is golden. Everything The Rock does, from his stint in Miami, where when The Rock was playing defensive end at Miami, he couldn't even get on the field at Miami because they were that good. Those Miami teams were that good that The Rock couldn't even get on the field. Okay, goes to Canada, does his Canadian football thing, follows his father's footsteps into the ring in WWE, and The Rock is probably the most iconic. He's probably the most iconic wrestler right now. If you mention WWE, everybody has a Rock quote. Everybody knows who The Rock is. He may have eclipsed Hulk Hogan as the most iconic wrestler of all time, because everybody knows The Rock. And of course, you got the XFL, which, by the way, quick promo, quick shout out. We'll be talking about the XFL. We'll be talking about the XFL this week when I think I'm doing two shows. I think I'm doing Tuesday and Thursday, hosting the Brian Snow Show on Snowman Media. So I'll be while Snowman's on vacation, we got a schedule of guys that are going to fill in for Brian Snow. I will be doing. I know I'll be doing Thursday. I think I'm doing Tuesday, but we'll be talking about the XFL. And of course, for everybody out there, the XFL lost $60 million in its first year, which is, you expect a first year to be, you expect them to to be in the red a little bit. Not that much, not 60 million. Okay. You expect maybe 20, 30 million. 60 million's a lot. That's a lot to be in the red. But I got to say, as somebody who watched the XFL this year, it was a good product. It was good. They got through a full season. They got a championship. Now they need to build on that. And when I host the Brian Snow Show, we'll talk more about that. I'll give you my thoughts on what the XFL can do to get itself more profitable. So that'll be coming up. That'll either be Tuesday or Thursday, or maybe both days. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? We'll find out. But we're definitely doing Thursday. And whenever Snowman says he needs me out of the bullpen, I'll be coming in I'll be coming in for him. So that's the last one in. Lou, what do you think of our list?
I like it. Yeah, I think that we didn't agree much on the coming in, but I think
Yeah, I think we got a good crossover list. I think it's good. I think we got hit every genre. I think we hit the music world. We hit the film. We hit entertainment. We hit sports. We hit sports entertainment. So we got it all over, and again with Miley and Charlotte being in there, we show that we are not as toxically masculine as everybody wants to preach us as, because we do recognize it. So, all right. So as everybody knows, as we're going through here, we have our list. We have our criteria for. It's all about the criteria, and so I have my pick, which is obviously just which one I think is greater. Doesn't matter. We have the greater father. Obviously, it'll be father versus father. We have greater child, because we originally had son in there, but because we made those changes, because of those, because of that, because of Miley and Charlotte being in there, we have greater child, so it'll be just the children going at it. We have the greater star, and that will be either one of them, whoever the bigger star is, out of the father son, out of the father child, on both sides, whoever the bigger star is, they will move on. The better performer, meaning, better performance, one person we would like to see the most, so we got that one. Better moment, which means, most iconic moment in their career. Better memory, which is, memorializing, which the one we memorialize the most. So whatever comes to mind there. We got funnier, whoever the funnier of the two are. That's always a staple. We'll talk. This is one that we do pretty much every time we do every time we have people involved. We do this one. It's a staple. It's a staple of the show. Who would win in a fight? So if they were to brawl up outside here on the bar, and we were to see a brawl between these families, who would win the brawl? We got that one in there. Most iconic, I just talked about it with The Rock. Who's more iconic when you mention the name? So iconic says itself. We got strongest, the strongest of the two. So we got that one in there. We got the better duo, as far as we had father, we had child. Now we're putting them together. The two of them versus the two of the other one. So we're taking everything in. Whereas one, the father may be better than the child, but this one we're putting them both together. Better in genre, which means more iconic to their specific genre. So, in that one, that one we'll describe it when it comes up. More inspirational, the more inspirational duo. We got them on the list. I need to think of two more. So we're gonna take some time to kind of put two. I need two more categories to fill this bracket out, so that we can definitely get it going. I'm gonna say generational. And by that, what I mean is as I was talking about with Jerry Stiller. I mean, Jerry Stiller, you can go back to the 1960s and get Jerry Stiller. And he still resonates today. So he's been the more generational as far as that's concerned. So that's where I'm thinking there. I'm just looking at my list, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do better mentor. And what that means is where I think where mentor, as in the father mentored the child to get to where they are. So I think that's a list. So we've got that. So we got that. So as everybody knows here, we're gonna set up our tournament. We're gonna set up our bracket, and as everybody knows, we pick our brackets based on, it's completely random. So the randomness of it is what makes everything good. And I gotta dump my pens out here so I can put them in the trusty cup. And we'll pick out our tournament. So as we know, we don't rank them 1 through 16 and do them that way, because everybody knows that's just it. You know, when you do 1 through 16, you can manipulate the matchups that way. This way, we have no control over this. It's what we are, what we do. And we can get all of that going. All right. So I'm just crumpling up the paper to put it in the list, and we've got all of our lists. So if you're playing along at home, setting up your bracket, we start in the top left-hand corner. We throw them in, and we mix them up here. And before my bracket's flying away because of the wind, of course I'm falling over here. Nick, while you're out here, give us a pick. Give us our first pick. Give us our first pick here. This is, of course, the top left-hand corner. We're looking at the black writing. We're doing greatest father-child duos. Hank Williams. Hank Williams, and of course Hank Williams Jr. They are in as the top left-hand corner. So everybody, top left-hand corner of our bracket. Let's go. We're going bottom. This is the bottom left-hand corner. Bottom left-hand corner. We have Jerry and Ben Stiller on the list. So the Stillers are in the tournament. They are in on the left-hand side. All right. Here we go. Now we're at the top right-hand corner. Top right-hand corner, if you're playing at home, we have, as I said before, in New York, there is no family more iconic than the Berries. Rick and Brent Berry on the list. They are in the top right. And of course, there's another Berry brother. There's like 3 more of them. I mean, they're all over the place in New York. All right, here we go. The bottom right-hand corner, we have our first mixed duo, as we have Billy Ray and Miley Cyrus at the bottom right-hand corner. So we have the Hank Williams bracket, we have the we have the Stiller bracket, we have the Berry bracket, and we have the Cyrus bracket. And all right, only in West Haven will you see a guy riding a lawnmower down the middle of the street, down the middle of Campbell Avenue, riding a lawnmower. Good for him. Good for him. That you don't see every day. That's why you come out to Z's. You don't see a lawnmower down the middle of Campbell Avenue. Only here. All right. In the opposite Hank in the Hank Williams bracket, we have the Flairs. We have Rick and Charlotte Flair in the bottom of the left hand. This is the top left hand bracket, but this is the bottom side of that bracket. All right. In the top, at the top of the Stiller bracket, we have the Laurinaitis. The Laurinaitis are in. They are in. The Laurinaitis, of course, that is the Legion of Doom, and of course, son John Laurinaitis, middle linebacker for the St. Louis Rams. All right, here we go. All right. So we have the Barry bracket. We have Rick and Brent Barry bracket. We have Bum and Wade Phillips on the list. So we have the Phillips, the coaching Phillipses. So we have them on the bracket. We have them in the bracket. And at the top of the Cyrus bracket, we have the Guerreros. We have Vlad Guerrero, Vlad Senior and Vlad Junior. So we have the Vlads, we have the Guerreros in there. All right. Here we go. Now, because I want this to be a random matchup, I will take a break from the YouTube for a minute and just be on here. Abby, how you doing? Can you pick a name out here for me? You're good. Well played, Abby. Well done.
Didn't know if I'd comment it.
All right. So Hank Williams, as Abby just picked Ripken. So we have Hank Williams versus Cal Ripken Jr., Cal Ripken Sr., Billy Ripken. We have the Fighting Ripkens in a pretty decent first round matchup. Thank you. And we have two picks. So this is trying to think. Oh, this is going against Oh, what a matchup in the first round. What a matchup. We have the Stillers versus the Bonds in a monster of a first round matchup. What a first round pick. What's up, Christina?
Hello, Christopher. What?
Christina, since you're out here, can you pick a name out of the cup for me?
Damn.
Awesome. And we have, as we said, the Berries. They are a New York icon, but the icon of music, the Dylan family, going in that one.
Child.
And Christina's picking. Oh, that is. I need this one. Oh, the black side.
There you go.
But you're good. We have. In this one, we have, wow, what a matchup. Miley Cyrus and Billy Ray Cyrus versus the McGraw family. So we have a country music battle in the first round. Now we have Charlotte. We have the Flairs. And I will pick for the Flairs. As we've gotten everybody out here, we have the Flairs versus the Sutherlands. The Sutherlands. Kiefer and Donald Sutherland on the list. All right. Here we go. And now we have the Laurinaitis. We have the Legion of Doom versus in a first round matchup versus Griffey versus the Griffies. Interesting. Could get a second round matchup of Griffies versus Bonds. You're talking about baseball father-son royalty when you talk about the Griffeys and the Bonzes. So could be an interesting second round matchup, but we'll see if they get through. All right, Wade and Bum Phillips versus the Currys, Steph and Del Curry. We have the best coaches of all time against the best shooters of all time. So interesting. It'll be an interesting debate there. And our final entry, Vlad Guerrero. Vlad Guerrero versus The Rock. Vlad versus The Rock. Wow. This is a very wide open tournament. Lou, we always do this to you. Lou, who are you handicapping as a winner? Who do you think is going to pull through here? Oh, we lost Lou. We lost Lou, so we're rolling solo here. We're rolling solo. It's okay. It's okay. We'll handle it. We'll handle it. But as we do, as we know that it always comes down to category. Looking at this, despite a tough first round matchup, I think the Bond. I think Barry and Bobby Bonds are a tough out. I think they're a tough out with the way that this tournament's going. So I'm going to handicap them. I'm going to put them as my pick to win it all. I'm going with the Bond. I'm going with Barry and Bobby Bonds as my selection, my winning selection for this, and we're putting them all in the list. We're putting them all back in the cup, as we always do here. It's random. It's as random as we can make it. We don't put this out for anybody. And if you are watching this, if you want to get involved, the link is in the chat. Link is at the top of the chat. You can get in that StreamYard. You can come join us, or you can call us 646-668-8415. You can be a judge for our tournament, or you can come down, visit us here live at Z's Cafe, West Haven, Connecticut. As I said, you got people in lawnmowers, riding lawnmowers down the street. Who knows what's going to happen on this show? Well, here we go. If you're in the chat, you can definitely let us. You can definitely just throw us a name, throw us out a name, and we will do that. All right, here we go. First category, we have Hank Williams versus Cal Ripken Jr. And the category is the better father. The better father. Now, it's a tough one because Cal Ripken Sr. is he was a great manager in his day. But look, as far as fathers go on this list, Hank Williams. You mentioned country music. Hank Williams is on the Mount Rushmore. He's on the Mount Rushmore of country music. I gotta move Hank through. I gotta move Hank Williams through. And people these days might not. They might not be down with Hank Williams music. Hank Williams music still resonates today. You play a Hank Williams song right now on the jukebox, people are going to be jamming to it. I guarantee you. Hank is a good. Hank is a good listen. It doesn't matter what you have. You got Hank Williams. All right. Kiefer Sutherland. We got the Sutherlands. Kiefer and Donald versus Rick and Charlotte Flair. Better moment in the career. We got Donald and I'm trying to remember the horror movie that Donald Sutherland was in. He's in one of the most iconic Night of the Body Snatchers. You know, Donald Sutherland was amazing in that. Most people listening to this show probably know him as the iconic villain from the Hunger Games. But Donald Sutherland has been in so many things. You could talk about 24 with Kiefer. As far as moment, it's Ric Flair. Ric Flair winning a championship. I will say this: my most iconic Ric Flair moment is not even a Ric Flair championship. Most iconic to me is Fall Brawl '94. Fall Brawl of '94, when they did the when they initiated the Fall Brawl, they had the 3 rings going. Ric Flair and the 4 Horsemen were all over that. That's my moment for Ric Flair. That's when I knew Ric Flair was the real deal. So I'm moving the Flairs on as the Flairs are moving on to the second round. All right, here we go. We're moving on to the Laurinaitis versus the Griffeys, and we have the better duo. What up, Kenny? So we're talking duos here. The better duos, the Griffeys played outfield together. They're the only father-son that I know of that has played in the same, not just the same game, but played next to each other in the same outfield. So the better duo is the Griffeys. As good as the Legion of Doom are, James Laurinaitis just doesn't add up to it. Just doesn't add up. Ken Griffey eclipses James, and Ken Griffey Sr. might ellipse there. Oh shit. We're running low on battery, so we've got to go quick here. So we're just gonna do it, and we're gonna see what happens. But better in genre, Bonds or the Stillers? Better in genre. Bonds are the better. Bonds are better in baseball. So we're gonna try to breeze through this so we can get through the tournament. As much as I would love to do this, but I'm running out of battery here. I'm running out of battery on the computer, so we got to do this quick. All right, the Barry and the Dylans. The better start is Bob Dylan. It's not even close. So the Dylans are moving on. All right. Moving on to the Currys versus the Phillipses. The more funny of the two. If you've ever heard Wade Phillips talk, Wade Phillips is hilarious. Wade Phillips is one of the funniest people in football. I'm moving Wade Phillips on. I'm moving the Phillipses on in that route. All right. Vlad Guerrero Sr., Vlad Guerrero Jr. Better performance versus better performer. There's no question about it. The better performer out of all of these is The Rock. The Rock is an icon of entertainment. Better performer is The Rock. So The Rock is moving on. All right. Tim McGraw. We got the McGraws versus the Cyruses, and we have better memory. Well, look, as much as I love Billy Ray and Miley, the memory to me is 1969. Tug McGraw, 1969 Miracle Mets.
Look, he's got the screen. Here it comes.
So I'm moving the McGraws on, and the McGraws are going to the second round. All right. We got 3 minutes left here. 3 minutes to try to pull this off. We're under the gun here. If we end up going off YouTube, I will come back to you and let you know. what's going on. We're probably going to run out of battery on YouTube, but we will still be on in here. And the stronger out of Hank Williams and Ric Flair, it's the Flairs. The Flairs are moving on. We've got Griffey and Bonds, the better child. Ken Griffey Jr. versus Barry Bonds. It's Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds is the greatest hitter of all time. So I'm moving the Bondses on in that one. We've got Dylan versus Phillips, and we have better mentor. As far as what Bob Dylan does for everybody, I'm going with Bum Phillips here, so I'm moving the Phillipses on. The Phillipses survive based on what we got. All right, The Rock versus Rocks and McGraw's, the more iconic. Oh man, who's more iconic, The Rock or Tim McGraw? That's the question. You know, I said it. The Rock could be the most iconic wrestler of all time, but Tim McGraw is on the list and could be the greatest country music star of all time. So I'm going with Tim McGraw. The McGraws are moving on. The McGraws are moving through the bracket. All right, we're trying to move here. We got 1% battery left to try and get